Module 1. What are barefoot shoes? Lesson 1.1. Characteristics of barefoot shoes. When we first hear about barefoot shoes, it's usually hard to imagine what kind of shoe it is. In this lesson, we will look at the characteristics of barefoot shoes and how we know that a particular shoe is even barefoot. Barefoot shoes look very similar to any normal shoes. They come with soles, laces, zippers, and are made of similar materials. However, there's an important difference between them and conventional shoes. They allow our feet to feel as if they were barefoot because they do not restrict our feet in their movement. Their width and shape mimic our natural foot shape, which is why barefoot shoes look wider than conventional shoes. At first, their width may make them look strange, especially if for years we've only been used to the shape of modern narrow shoes. But don't worry, we quickly get used to the new shape and soon all modern shoes will feel unusually narrow. Barefoot shoes are the shoes of choice for all situations when you can't be barefoot, and they offer protection against heat, damp, cold, and injuries. How do you recognize a barefoot shoe in a shop? Every barefoot shoe should boast of 6 basic characteristics that describe its functionality and fit. These basic characteristics make sure that the shoe allows the foot to perform its natural function. One of the most important features of a barefoot shoe is its appropriate toe box shape, which mimics the natural functional shape of the human foot, with the big toe aligned in the direction of the first metatarsal bone. When buying shoes, people rarely pay attention to their shape. Even less often we ask ourselves how our foot looks in such a shoe. If we compare the natural shape of the human foot and the prevailing shoe shape, we can quickly notice a huge discrepancy between the two. All modern shoes are designed to be widest at the ball of the foot and then gradually narrow towards the tip of the shoe. The natural shape of the human foot, on the other hand, is widest at the tip of the toes. Inappropriate footwear causes deformation and dysfunctionality of our feet. Consequently, the foot becomes shaped like a shoe. Whether we notice it or not, our feet are always deformed and compressed in modern shoes. Such shoes, when worn on our feet, have a similar effect as braces do on our teeth. Over time, the foot gets reshaped and takes on the shape of the shoe. In modern times, the natural V-shape of the foot can often be only seen in babies and with indigenous people who have not yet been affected by the reshaping caused by conventional shoes. Unfortunately, this happens, but rarely among everyone else. If we want to preserve, or even better, restore our natural foot shape, we need to pay attention to the shape of our shoes. The solution to providing enough space to our feet and all the toes does therefore not lie in choosing a bigger size or even a wider shoe, but in opting for the right toe box shape. This is where barefoot shoes come in. Barefoot shoes are designed to be widest across the toes, leaving the line at the big toe perfectly straight. Such shoes therefore do not deform our feet. More than that, they allow the toes to spread out fully and comfortably. Another distinct feature of every barefoot shoe is a perfectly flat sole. When we think of heels, we usually think of 10 centimeter high heels worn by women. Still, what is a heel anyway? A heel is any elevation of the sole in the back of the shoe. Its height can be 1 millimeter or 10 centimeter. Many people claim not to wear heels, but a mere look at most modern footwear reveals that it's actually extremely difficult to find a shoe that does not have a heel. Heels do not present a problem for the body on condition they are worn for short periods of time. This is because our body, with its many joints, is able to adapt to different situations. When worn frequently, however, heels turn into a problem. In order to maintain an upright posture, The body is forced to adapt to new situations by changing the position of all its parts, joints, the spine, tissues, and by making certain compensations as the body's center of gravity changes when we wear an elevated heel. These compensations around every day and with every step. In the long run, the elevated heel causes an imbalance in the whole body. Moreover, it negatively impacts the Achilles tendon, making it shorter and inelastic. A perfectly flat sole does not curve upwards at the toe. Such a toe spring is not a part and parcel of a barefoot shoe. A toe spring is an extremely popular solution for the thick, hard soles of modern shoes, as it allows the foot to swing or roll forward, making it easier to do a step, despite of the thickness and firmness of the sole. However, this raised part of the shoe keeps our toes in an unnatural, elevated position. Scientific studies have shown that the toe spring also contributes to a weakening of foot muscles, less need for the foot to be involved in our movement, and possibly a greater susceptibility to common foot conditions, as the constant elevation of the toes causes constant tensions in the plantar fascia. Not only do we need flat soles to move our feet properly, the soles also need to be thin and flexible in all directions and made of quality materials that prevent them from wearing out too quickly or slipping too much. Our bodies can only be strengthened through movement. If we stop moving, our muscles become weak and our connective tissues become stiff and inelastic. Heavy, thick, hard and narrow modern shoes act on our feet like a plaster on a broken bone. Such shoes significantly reduces the foot's ability to move, which is why our feet become stiff and gradually lose their functionality. Barefoot shoes, unlike modern shoes, boast an extremely thin and flexible sole. Such a sole can therefore easily be rolled up. Nevertheless, flexibility in the longitudinal direction alone is not enough. The thickness of the sole in modern shoes has another negative impact. It prevents the foot from feeling the ground on which it's walking. Let me explain. Imagine wearing thick ski gloves on your hands. Consequently, we cannot sense the texture and grip with them well. Our hands, therefore, do not receive appropriate stimuli from the environment. The same happens to our feet when in thick-soled shoes. Our feet continuously receive information from the ground about the surface we walk on via nerve endings, reacting to and interacting with the environment accordingly. In barefoot shoes, this ground feel is possible. At first, we may find such stimulation overwhelming, but after years of enjoying barefoot shoes, I can say that over time our body starts craving the sensation of different textures. All barefoot shoes are also extremely lightweight, and because of their light weight, you can hardly feel them. The lighter the weight, the better. Another very important feature of barefoot shoes is the proper attachment of the shoe to the foot. This may be the right moment to touch upon all the flip-flops and slip-ons that are very popular footwear for adults and kids in the warmer months. These shoes are open and wide, and we are immediately tempted to classify them as barefoot. After all, there's nothing wrong with them, right? They're wide, they're open, they don't pinch the toes, the sole is not so thick. Indeed, they may be very close when it comes to certain characteristics of barefoot shoes, but they lack one extremely important feature. They are not properly fitted to the foot. If the heel is not properly fixed to the shoe when walking, our feet are forced to move unnaturally, and we start to grip our toes or lift them to keep the shoe on the foot. This causes a number of compensations in walking, such as which part of the foot is involved in the push-up phase. This has a bearing on our walking pattern and can also be the cause of various foot deformities such as claw toes. All barefoot sandals allow the foot to be properly fixed, so these compensations do not occur. In addition to all the characteristics that define the functionality of a barefoot shoe must also fit properly. This means that the shoe is of the right length and width for our foot and that it fits our foot properly. Let's see what this means. When the foot is loaded while walking, during the pronation phase of the foot, the plantar arch lowers, the length of the foot increases, and the foot widens. The right length and width of the barefoot shoe allow for this expansion. This topic will be explored in more detail in the lessons focusing on foot measurements and fit.